So before the dogs even come out the car, we're going to get some control. Because if I just open the car now, they'll come flying out. We're on a road. Go back. Go back. So this is all part of his training. Again, if I just let him barge me out the way, I'm going to be in trouble. Back. Sit. There's no waving food for behaviours like this. He needs to know it's dangerous. There's a road here. He's a big boy. He could easily pull me over. He needs to know to sit. And wait. So my tone of voice changes. My behaviour changes. The dog needs to know that he's not safe and he needs to listen to me. So we just take that extra 30 seconds to a minute just to get control of the situation, because safety is everything. No, sit. Put this time in here now. By the time we've got through this really tricky phase of adolescence, he already knows the behaviour will be linked to you sit, you stay, otherwise you do not come out. Wait. So the next thing I'm going to ask of him, wait, is to wait while Hogan comes out. Wait. Hogan. Boy, wait. And wait. Good. And I'll give him a helping hand. Again, we're going to stop here. This is not acceptable. He needs to just get a little bit of self-control. This is real life, guys. This is a young adolescent dog. This would easily get out of hand if I let it. So we're just going to stop. So as soon as I move, he goes over threshold again, gets overexcited, and we end up in trouble. Now we all know what's going to happen. He's going for his walk and he knows as well. So he's getting really excited about that. But I need to stay in control the whole time, and I need to be mindful that everything he's learning right now is going to be with me for life. So when he adds on another 5 or 6 or 8 kilos or whatever he's going to add on in size-wise, I'm going to be in real trouble if I've got 2 dogs behaving like that. So that's really important that we stop and just take control at this stage. Okay, wait. And sit. Okay, so before we go into the park, again, I've got 2 big dogs I'm going to take into an area. I don't know who's in there. There might be nobody. There might be 3 or 4 people. I'm going to act as if the place is really busy, and I'm going to set these dogs up for success before I put them in. So we're just going to check at each stage, what are we taking in? It takes seconds. Once the dogs know how to behave, it's literally seconds to your walk to get them just to be amenable dogs and dogs that have obedience. You ready? From a recall perspective, stop, sit. Your dogs need to be listening to you. They need to know that this is your walk. So I'm just going to take 2 seconds just to have a little check of my environment. Perfectly fine, there's a few birds around. I'm going to take both leads off. The dogs are not going to run off when I take these leads off. So we're going to sit. Thanks, Hogs. Good boy. So Hogan first. Wait. If we attach a release as soon as they hear this sound, then if that gets caught and it's not properly unhooked, you're going to be pulled over. So undo the buckle first and teach the dog to wait. Lead off and another wait. Let me look. Okay. Right, can you see the bullying that's going on here? Hey. Okay, that is bullying. He bullies Hogan. Hogan is a passive dog and Moose is starting to come into his own. He's trying to entice play, but Hogan hates it. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm in the middle of this and he will just get distracted and entertain himself. I do like to let him have just a little bit of a run round. He's picked up a stick. I'm not going to throw that stick, it's dangerous, but he can pick it up and run around and be a dog, that's fine. I want him to blow off some of this excessive energy, and it's absolutely safe to do so. There is someone else in the park, so I'm just going to call him back. Moose! Good. Good boy! Done a lot with just my voice, so he does know just my mouth whistle, but obviously if anybody else walks the dogs, I need to be confident that they're going to listen to a recall whistle, and that same consistent sound is going to have the same response in my dogs across the board. Just let Hogs having a little poo. Really need to have some kind of leadership, so not just relying on the dog's obedience and the dog's training, but actually a relationship with your dog that allows you to give them little instructions, change your demeanour, change your body language, and they actually listen. When they're doing things you don't want them to do, if they're in tune with you and they understand where your boundaries lie, then they will listen. Unfortunately, it isn't something you see too often now, and it's actually getting harder and harder for people to be able to achieve that with the freedom that people give their dogs in the home. So nothing wrong with dogs going on beds and sofas and following owners round if life is all on the owner's terms. There is a huge problem with that. If the owner can't click their fingers and say off and the dog goes. I've got so many cases where owners have got dogs on sofas and in bedrooms, and if they do that and ask the dog to get down, they get growled at, or the dog just stays where it is and they have to be physically removed from the sofa. And that's just a real imbalance in the social hierarchy in the home. Dogs really need that social hierarchy. They're living with humans, they're not living with other dogs. So they really need to understand the parameters of how human life is. If dogs behave like dogs around human beings, and I mean like dogs, prey drive, boisterousness, you know, they're brutal with each other. And if they do that with human beings, they're going to get into a lot of trouble, and unfortunately they do. So just taking that little bit of time to really consider your emotional attachment to your dog, who dictates the interaction, who dictates the attention given. Does your dog nag you for food? Just making these really small corrections in your life and to your lifestyle with your dog can make the difference between a really well-behaved dog and a dog that absolutely creates chaos wherever it goes. So this is where I like to come and bring my dogs. If you look how far Moose is now, he's too far for me. So we're just going to check this recall whistle. And I'm going to show him that I'm walking away. So I'm going to give him a reason to come and follow me. Good. Here. And now I'm going to call him properly in. Come. So my come command means you come. Sit. And we attach a sit to that. And I'll reward that because they're both a good boy. You ready to go? So now they're just waiting for me to release them. So I've called them in, I've asked them for a come, I've asked them for a sit, and the behaviour I've linked after that is just to wait, and they need to wait for me to say it's okay to run. That just keeps them and me and everybody else safe. Away you go. So I just do a little bit of gun dog training, really just to keep on top of their obedience, and also just for a little bit of fun. They love it. I've bought gun dogs. I don't want to go out shooting things and bringing back dead pheasants. If you enjoy that, that's absolutely great. But for me, I really love the obedience stuff that goes with gun dog training. I love the fact it's all quite calm and controlled, but the dogs have a really great time. It's a really nice way. Doing a dog sport that fits with the breed of dog that you've got is a really nice, easy way to actually build their confidence and also their trust in you. We've got 2 dogs out. I've got one taking no notice of me. Here we go, here's your youngster, here's your mature adult. So you can see the difference. They've both been trained in and been trained exactly the same way. This is my calm, confident, focused adult who doesn't have too many distractions. He's been there, seen it and done it. And there's my adolescent, doing as he pleases. Oh, he's cocking his leg, did you get that? There's so much going on over there. Other dogs have been there, different wildlife. It's way more interesting over there than it is here right now. So if I'm nagging him and calling and calling and calling, he's just going to get desensitized to me. So when I call him, he absolutely needs to be coming. So I want to make sure I choose that timing absolutely bang on so he doesn't let himself or me down. And here he is. Hello. Come on in. Let's go. All right, so to train both of them, it's not always brilliant. We do this for fun, not for work, but I use their names to release them for the gun dog dummy. So we'll put them in a sit so they know their turns. Come here, boys. And wait. Now, Hogan's pretty good with this. I can pretty much send this anywhere. I can hide it from him. You'll have seen some of the stuff that I do with him. This is not really about him, this session. It's about just testing Moose a little bit and getting his confidence. So Hogs can just have a little bit of a play around, but I'm not going to be testing him today. So the stuff I do will be all quite close contact. I want Moose to be successful and I want him just to enjoy it. So I'm just going to run him through a few little simple exercises just to get him going. So Hogan, switching Hogan off is another matter. Hogs, look, stay. Moose, come. Hogan, stay. Moose, come. Just to work with the dog's names independently. It's not something that I do naturally because I just use a lot of body language stuff, but actually it's been a really nice way of me being able to work the dogs individually, getting one to stay, and the dog's actually learning pretty quickly who I want and who I want to be working with and who's checked out. He's not very good at this. Yep. And sit. Good, Moose. Come. So this is good self-control stuff for Moose. It's not his turn, so he needs to learn to sit there. So this is tricky for him. Hogan, come. Moose, stay. Well done. Sit. And I'm going to reward both dogs. That was really good for Moose. Moose would normally run in, not when Hogan runs out actually, but when Hogan comes back, he would normally want to join in. So he's done really well with that. Good boy. Excellent. Just to signal when we're finished, I usually get a different bit of equipment out. This is his favourite thing. Moose not so much, he's not so bothered about a tennis ball, he's got other motivators that he likes, but for Hogan this is his winning treat. So for him to know that's the end of the session, the dummy will go away. So you use all your body language cues, all your visual cues to communicate to the dog when you start interaction with them and when you stop. And I always like to say to people, if you switch the dog on, switch it off afterwards. So in effect, if you've done anything with the dog that involves direct interaction, excitement, fun, or even just calm handling, make it clear to the dog that your interaction is finished, because their free time is the biggest reward that you can give them. Hogan. Good Moose. Moose. Yay! Good boy. Find it. He's got to go to his nose because he can't see it, and Moose needs helping out. So I would not leave him struggling because that will knock his confidence. So we'll go out. Right. Hey. Hogan. Sit. Wait. Alright, so if I can't find it either, he can't find it, I don't want him to have failed. So I'm going to give him this. Moose. Good boy! I'm going to check him out and then we'll put Hogs to the test. Come. Yeah! You clever boy! You clever boy! Well done! Naughty little puppy. So the behaviour that he's doing to Hogan during a phase of excitement is just really normal for a young dog. But the behaviours that they attach in that moment will start to become learnt. So the more often that happens, the more that becomes a habit, the more the dog just learns that as soon as another animal, dog, human, cyclist, runner is moving, it just opens up that prey drive, that chase drive, that's instinctive behaviour. Instinct is instinct, and it's really, really tough to manage. So if you want to have any control over it whatsoever, you have to be harnessing it, stopping it, controlling it, channeling it as soon as you see it. I'm just going to try and recreate something on camera. It might be an epic fail, but we'll try. So essentially, you have to be quite careful when you're playing with possessions and food with more than one dog, but as you guys know, these are my dogs. I know them really well and they're very well trained. So I'm just going to use this opportunity just to try and show you a little bit of reactivity and why it's really important to teach your dog a consequence. But basically, both of them know the word no. I've taught them no. I've taught them with a consequence by removing something they wanted during a training session. So they both know the power of the word no. And I'm going to try and see if just that word no will penetrate when Moose is locked onto Hogan when we're using a possession. So we'll give it a go. So my guess will be, I'll throw this out, Hogs will go for it, and what Moose will want to do is chase him and bite him. And I'm going to try and use my word no and see whether or not it's strong enough. Hog. No! Come! Good sit. Beautiful. Right, that is timing. If I was 3 seconds later and that got into a chase, which again I'll try and recreate, that no will not work at all. So we'll try. I don't want to set him up to fail, but I do want to use the opportunity just to show you dogs are dogs at the end of the day, and we need to work really hard if we're going to have control of a predator. Sit. Ready. Ready, go! So here now, watch his behaviour change. Enough. Drop. Drop. Good. All right, you might have just seen that. Just quick switch where I stepped in. Now I have set that up. I don't want either of the dogs to fail, but it's a really important part of learning for anyone as a dog owner, just to see that switch, because that is the sort of behaviour, that chase behaviour, that biting, that running around after each other, that clients will report back to me that that's their dog having a nice time. That is no one's dog having a nice time. That is the switch from you having your lovely family pet and it turning within literally half a second into a predator. That is not something you want happening in your public park. So if you're seeing it, you need to be pulling your dog out and shutting it down really, really quickly. Okay, let's go. In places like this where your environment's a little bit unpredictable and you can't see around corners, you can't see into fields, it's a really nice way to actually just remind yourself to do a little bit of just organic training with your dog. I want dogs that know my lifestyle, so they're not robots, you know, they do look elsewhere, they do wander off. I want them to be dogs, but when I speak and when I tell them what I need them to do, they do need to be listening. Let's go. So sit. So I would just take an opportunity like this. I can't see what's around the corner. I don't want them flying around in front of me because it'll be a repeat of some of the behaviour that you'll see from Moose. I'm supporting him. I do not want him to fail. I want to set him up really, really well. So I'm going to give him the best chance to do that. So I'm going to make him sit there and use this as an opportunity to do a sit stay and then a recall at the end of it. So they're going to stay. All right, so they can't see me now. So I'm just going to do a 2-beat recall whistle and give them a shout. Again, you watch for the behaviour as Moose comes around the corner. He's very likely to jump on Hogan, so we'll see. Come! Oh, much better! Come in. And that was a come command. So you can see that Hogan is bang on, comes in, sits down, knows he's working. Moose is learning this. Get them back under control to put them back in the calf, so their freedom is over. So I'm just going to quickly pop their leads on. Come here, boys. Very good. Just to make sure we're safe. Whilst these guys are awesome and well trained and I know them really well, they're dogs, and particularly for actually either one of them, if something does just startle them, or you know, there's wildlife that pops out from somewhere, you can never say 100% what's going to happen. They're really well trained, they listen, they've had consequences for charging off. But I do like my dogs to be dogs and enjoy their freedoms. Could I guarantee 100% they wouldn't budge if pheasant ran up in front, if I was there and had a command in place ready to go? No, they wouldn't. They would absolutely listen, guaranteed. But if they are just caught off guard and I'm distracted or step back, they're dogs, they're animals at the end of the day, they're not robots, and I wouldn't want to ever put their safety at risk, so we just don't take those chances. Why set them up to fail? Okay, let's head to the car. Just wanted to say a quick point on using verbal cues, as in come, stop, sit, wait, etc. If your dog is ignoring you, even though you know for sure they understand what the command means, don't just automatically assume that they're ignoring you and they don't want to do it and they're being bad dogs. You need to be considering whether the dog can actually process what you're saying. If they're really what we call over threshold, in an aroused state, overexcitable or distracted, there's a very likelihood they're going to be producing adrenaline and cortisol, a little bit of stress hormones. Those stress hormones will block the learnt centre of the brain. The dog cannot process your words. They are working with their nose, they're working with their body language cues. So actually just being able to have the opportunity to remove the dog from an environment, get control of them and know that they're back engaged with you before expecting them to respond to simple verbal cues is really important. So just bear that in mind. Good boys. Thank you.